Welcome back. In this video, we're going to go over payment distributions, paying your subscribers. So you can have a scenario where you have an application that is like a marketplace application, and you have users that come get a service, and your application serves as a broker for those services, and your subscribers, or if you want to call them merchants, are providing those services. And after the end of a day, or maybe in real time, or however you want to configure this, you can pay your subscribers, right, their cut of whatever transactions flow through your software. So the popular term is marketplace applications. All right. So on the Inhouz Cloud platform, monetization with your apps and APIs are done using subscription services. So we have two types of services, internal and external, as you can see over here. Internal are for people within your organization. These are services that only people within your organization can subscribe to. And these APIs and web applications can be considered as internal tools. Whereas you have external, which is exposed to the public. The public can sign up to it if they have the sign up URL. We're going to jump into our support auth, subscription services and a service in the production environment. So this service already has some paid plans. So your plans can be free or paid. In the last video on subscription payment configuration, we went over how to configure your payments. We know that we have to connect a payout account, and we have to put together the payment methods that we want your users to be able to pay with. And we know that we have to configure the payout account in the in-house payments. But for this one, we're going to focus on payment distribution, basically paying your subscribers. To pay your subscribers is pretty straightforward. All you will need to do is turn on payment distribution, and then turn on, or select rather, the payment distribution gateway. So the question becomes, what is a payment distribution gateway? All right, so if we go over here to in-house payments, and we jump to outgoing payment gateways, we can see here that we have a couple payment gateways. So a payment gateway is basically just a Stripe account, right, that your subscribers can connect their bank accounts to. So then what happens that the Inhouz Cloud platform is going to then connect to that Stripe account and transfer funds from that account to your subscribers' accounts based on whatever logic that you use. So we're going to just go through, what the payment gateway looks like. So it's just simply a payment gateway. All you just need to do here is give it a name, right? So we can just say this is random payment gateway or random gateway. Give it a description. We only have one gateway type, it's Stripe. Then you will need to provide the test public key and the test secret key. Again, this is your Stripe API keys, and Stripe usually has two environments, a test environment and a live environment. So you would have to log into your Stripe, go to your settings, get your API keys for the test environment, put them over here, and this enables you to test your applications, right? Test payment distributions in non-production environments. Then what you want to do is to do the exact same thing for your live API keys. Now, these API keys are going to be encrypted, and they are going to be stored encrypted. And only users with access will be able to see these keys if they opened up the payment gateway config. So another thing here we can do here is we can add the webhooks that we want to add. So these are webhooks for different environments. So these webhooks will trigger on payment distribution events. So when a payment distribution was made, when it was successful, you know, this is just your payment distribution webhooks for the different environments. On Inhouse Cloud, we have three environments: development, test, and production. And these three webhooks, one for each environment. Now, one thing to note really quickly is that the test gateway, the test environments for your payment gateway will be used in the development and test environments, while the live one will be used in just the production environments. So you have your Stripe accounts, or you create a Stripe accounts, connect your bank account to that Stripe accounts, and then use the API keys and put them over here, right? So now that you have your payment gateway set up, okay, you have your subscription service, right? That has, payment distribution enabled. You've connected the payment gateway that you want the funds to come out of to then go into your subscribers. The next question becomes, okay, how do your subscribers get paid? And it's quite simple. Now, we have an account settings page. Whenever anyone signs up to your applications, they're going to get a link to the account settings page. And from your applications, you could also link out to your account settings page. So now your subscriber is going to have to go log in to their account settings. I already have one opened up. I've already logged in. So in the account settings module, there is something here called payment distribution account. Okay, I believe I have to probably log in again. Oh, nope. All right. So all they need to do is go to the payment distribution accounts. Okay, and it's a very straightforward process. They can just change the name. They give it a name that makes sense for them. Pick whatever currency that they want, right? And then they can begin the onboarding process. So the currency is going to have to match with whatever bank account. So what this onboarding process is going to do is it's going to take them to Stripe, and Stripe is going to have a workflow for them to put in their bank account and information. And once they do that, they're going to get redirected back over here, and then the process is complete. So again, the reason why we cannot click on this is because this service currently does not have payment distributions enabled. But if it did, then this will be enabled and users can just click on this and configure their accounts. All right. So now, you've enabled it in your subscription service. People have signed up. You have your payment gateway already set up. Your users have connected their payout accounts. Now, the next thing is, okay, how do you then pay people? All right. We're going to jump back into, where is it? Inhouse payments. We're going to go to the bill pay section of outbound payments. So over here, we have a few things. We have something here. We have a tab here that says make a payment. All right. So if we wanted to manually make a payment, right? Let's say we have a subscription account already set up. Okay. What we could do here is that we could basically just say, okay, I want to make a payment. I can call this payments pay John. Okay. I can pick my gateway and remember that the gateway is the account, is a Stripe account that the money is being transferred from. I pick my gateway. Okay. If I had a payments category, if I had a project that I want to attach this to, I can just simply do that. Select my project, pick the currency that I want to pay this person in, pick the environment. So, keep in mind that if this is production, then it's going to be real money. So we're going to switch to the development. Okay. And then all this stuff here is just, optional. I'm going to go over here and add a recipient. If you notice, there are two types of recipients. This is subscription account, which is like, your user from here. This is a subscription account. Or you can have an individual, right? This is just like a person who you've basically connected to. Okay. So here I can basically just select someone. And if you notice that you can see the status of their account. So these two people have not fully set up yet. I'm just going to select someone who has fully set up. put an amount here, call it 1,000. And all I need to just hit submit. And then it's going to be an outgoing payment. And it's going to look something like this: outgoing payments to whoever you want to pay to. Okay. The next question becomes, okay, we see how it's done manually. But obviously we have an application. We cannot have 1,000 users or subscribers or merchants and begin to go one by one to pay people. How can this be automated? So it can be automated very, very easily, right? Using a scheduled task or an API, however you want to do it, from within the process of the workflow of your application. To configure something like that, it's quite simple. All you need to do is go to the function builder and write some logic for this. So I can just write, I can basically just create a function called pay people. Okay. And I can say this function pays someone. Okay. Keep it simple. I'm going to give it a workflow name of, call it logic. You can have as many workflows as you want, but honestly, I always just use one workflow and just add unlimited steps to my workflow. Okay, we'll keep this very simple. Let's just type payments. So there is an option to run a batch outgoing payment. This is when you want to run multiple payments at the same time, or you can do a single outgoing payment. So we're going to pick the single payment option. So here, this is a function, okay? Depending on if you're consuming this with an API, you might want to use the request body parameter. But if you're consuming this from like an application or whatever, you might want to create, parameters to then use within your function. So, we're not going to do this all here because we're going to have videos in the function builder tutorial like package to let you know how to use functions. It's pretty straightforward. If this was an API and we were using the request body, let's say we had a name for it, we could just bind this to, let's just give this a name, pay response. We could bind this to, let's say, parameter dot, it's called request body, and let's say the field was name. All right, in our request JSON. Okay, that's if you were using an API. So we have to pretty much do this across the board for like outgoing payment gateway ID. To get the payment gateway ID, I kind of closed the tab here, but let's just open it up. We go to payments, we go to outgoing payments gateways. Let's see, refresh this page. I can see the gateway ID here, right? So we can grab that information. Where's my function? There we go. All this are optional, but this could be in your request. If you wanted to schedule it, you could go ahead and schedule. If this is an individual, or if this is for if this was for like a subscription account, you can basically do this, or you can make it programmatic where you can just use the code to pass the parameter that says call it parameter dot request body dot account type. Okay. Then the currency, and you can just use the same thing across the board, the amounts, the email. So here, this is the email of the recipient, the company ID. This would be, if this is a subscription service account, this would be the company ID or the tenant ID of that subscriber. The outgoing payment recipient account ID field. So these three fields, this is for individuals if you wanted to pay like an individual. This right here these two can be used for the if it's a subscription account. But you just put in whatever, whatever the use case is, put in the relevant data here, put in the relevant data there. And if you have some metadata, so the metadata, is really good for putting some data that you want to use whenever your webhooks trigger. Then, you're going to get this object that has the metadata, and you could then use that within your webhooks to, like, finalize some automation down the line. If you had supporting files, you would attach those files here. It would be the file name, the file type, and the base64 text. Okay, then you map the fields, that correspond with the file name, the file type, the base64. If you wanted to store the files in some kind of in a file storage service, you can provide the file storage service ID, and then an API key. If this was, if you don't already have an API key for the API, which you should always protect your APIs, by the way, then you could provide an API key here. And this is just so that the system can know who is running this transaction. Okay? And of course, the person running this transaction needs to have the appropriate permissions. Okay? So this is just, a kind of a long-winded dive into how to, like, configure a function that does this. And then after, you do the initial payment, you could return whatever you want to return, or if you had extra steps in your function, whatever your workflow is. Okay. So now we have our pay people. This can be used in like a scheduled task that runs, and you can always create scheduled automations. And you can use this, within an API, like we in our example hinted at it being used in an API. What does that look like? I'm just going to jump into one of my existing APIs. I have a bunch of endpoints here. I'm just going to go to a post endpoint. Watch the videos on Inhouz APIs to see how APIs are configured and created. Just to connect a function to an API, all you just need to do is just select that function, right? And now this endpoint, when you post to it, it runs this function. You know what I mean? So that request body parameter in that function will be populated with the request body object in our post request. So, if you're not a technical person, don't worry about it. Show this video to a technical person who's implementing this solution for you, and they know what this means. All right. So, we've pretty much gone through what a payment distribution is. We've gone through how it's configured on the subscription service side of things. We've gone through what a payment gateway is and how it's set up. It's a Stripe account API keys. We've gone through how your subscribers are going to then connect their accounts to your payment gateway. Okay. We then went through how to pay people manually, right? And then we've pretty much shown you how to use the function to automate payments. And we know that we can, attach functions to schedule tasks, and we can attach functions to APIs, and we can build whatever workflow that we want, right? To our whatever workflow that we want, we can basically build that in our applications to basically pay people. Now, finally, you've begun to pay people. What does that look like? So it looks like this. Your subscribers in their account settings page will be able to see the incoming payments. All right. So if we go over here and switch to the development environment, we can see outgoing payments. Okay. So your subscribers can see something, similar on their end, which is, the incoming payments. So if there were like, files that were uploaded, whatever, they will see all those files, right? They can see the payment breakdown. Now it looks slightly different for your subscribers. Instead of it being outgoing payments, it's incoming payments. And they don't see some of the information here that is not really relevant to them. Okay. But it will look slightly different, but for the most part, it's the same. Okay. And they'll be seeing that from the incoming payments. Now, also on this platform, we have something called a customer portal. Okay. So let's open that up. So if you just go to your domain, which has your subdomain .inhouse.io/customer portal, here everyone you've done business with, okay, can log in and see the payments that they've made with you and see all those transactions. So, if someone was like, hey, I need my receipts, right? Or I need to see my incoming payments, you can tell them, hey, log into your account settings. But let's say this was someone who used your application, maybe one of the people who made purchases, right? You can always send those people to your customer portal, and when they log in, they can see all the payments that they've made. All they need to do is provide the email that was attached to the payments whenever they made their payments. All right. So that's pretty much it. We've done the 360. If you want to know more about in-house payments, we have a whole training module for in-house payments where we go deep into like the in-house payments from the beginning to the end, how to set up payment links, how to automate payment links, and how to automate payments, how to request for payments methods from like other people, bill pay, taxes. It's a whole module. It's very powerful. In this video, I just wanted to show you how to pay your subscribers. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.